Welcome back to the Basement Boys podcast and this week's free episode. If you want bonus episodes every week, check out patreon.com/basementboyspodcast, where we upload an additional weekly episode for $2 a month. You can also get access to bonus footage and behind the scenes. Regardless, we appreciate all your support, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, Zach. Why are you looking at me like that, man? I know that our friendship is starting to dwindle, and this podcast is the only thing keeping it together. But you can at least, fake enjoy my company.
Friendship ended with Caleb. The late night shift is my new best friend.
What is it? Oh, yeah, Brian's podcast.
Yep.
I forgot for a second, bro.
You forgot?
I forgot. All right. Well, we were talking before the podcast about the many other Basement Boys podcasts that exist in the world, and how many Basement Boys podcasts came before us and died. Some Basement Boys podcasts have even been, started after we started it and have died. So we're trying really hard to be the one true Basement Boys podcast. The weight of the other 30 dead Basement Boys podcasts is getting us down. But we're trying to rise from the ashes like a phoenix.
This is so sad, bro.
This is so sad, bro.
Pour one out for the other 30 Basement Boys podcasts.
So I've looked online. Oh my god, bro. Relax. I've looked online, and I've logged out of my Google, logged out of my YouTube, cleared my internet history, and... Oh, well, the first result on Google is not us. The first result on Google is a dead podcast on a platform called Stitcher, which we're not even on. And we're on, 8 platforms. I've never even heard of Stitcher. But, I think we should be one of the top results.
Yeah, we're right here.
But I'm still concerned that it might be biased because we've looked it up before and such.
It's even biased for our internet provider. They're just like, anyone looking this up is probably these.
Yeah, boys. Our internet is going to be biased, regardless of whether or not we've cleared our history, logged out of our Google account,
opened an incognito tab.
Opened an incognito window. Searched something not very appropriate in the incognito window to try to mess up the Google algorithm.
Yeah,
totally for science, not for personal reasons. And yet, we pop up. We've been popping up. But I believe we can survive. I believe we'll be the only podcast with the title Basement Boys to succeed. We just got to keep at it. And yeah, we're not there yet. Yeah, no one's fucking watching. But we just got to keep chipping away, baby.
We just got to rouse some ground.
I need you to stay optimistic. Because you look negative.
I'm not the optimistic one.
You look sad.
I'm the pessimist. I'm the pessimistic, or at least the realist.
You look pissed off. What's wrong,
always
Zach?
Pissed off.
Actually, I know what's wrong, but I want you to tell the story again for the podcast. What's wrong, Zach?
I don't know what you're trying to bait out of me.
You slept in your fucking car this
yeah.
morning.
Yep. I got locked out of the apartment and slept in my car for 3 hours. Because my keys are somewhere in this room, and I don't
still
know
haven't found them?
Room. I have not.
Buddy.
Pour one out for your boy.
So why are you on? You should probably explain why you got locked out, and also why your work hours changed, because that's part of the reason why you got locked out.
My work hours change all the time, regardless of race.
Okay. No, but I thought you were, once you moved up to a lead position,
you rotate the shifts with the other leads.
Oh, that's dumb.
Nah.
That's dumb.
Nah.
Every other person ever that I've known who gets a lead position at their company gets kind of a locked down set schedule for working.
For the coronavirus.
We're never going to be monetized. You don't have to whisper.
In that case, I'm going to shout it. For the coronavirus, we have to be there 24/7, at least someone on deck to sanitize the whole plant.
Okay.
Constantly throughout the day.
Okay.
So, your boy gets to be thrown on any shift.
Oh, God.
And this time it's third.
So, okay, well that I guess makes more sense. I was just confused because, like I said, whenever anyone at all that I've known gets a lead position at their company, they usually have a set schedule, a set amount of hours, and a little bit of order in their life compared to the bottom bitch at that said company. But you are just rotating hours.
Yep.
And yesterday, you worked, what was it?
I didn't work yesterday. But, like, last night I worked 9 to 5.
That's what I fucking meant. Yesterday at 9 p.m., you went to work.
Well, last night at 9 p.m.
Oh my god, bro. I'm trying to tell your story for you, and you're still shutting it down.
Yep.
Alright, tell me how you got locked in your car in the most entertaining, creative way possible. I'm not going to speak.
Fuck.
I'm not going to help you. Go.
Okay, so basically I pulled up to the garage, and I got out of the car to open the garage because I left the garage unlocked when I left last night, and I turned the thing, and I heard the thing click to lock, and I was like, "Fuck!"
Why'd you leave the? Wait, you left the garage unlocked last night?
Yeah.
So you're telling me? I said I wasn't gonna interrupt, but now I'm mad.
How am I supposed to get in without the key?
So you left the garage door unlocked?
Yes.
Accidentally locked it trying to open the door?
Yeah.
And then you were locked out?
I was very tired.
What time was this?
Like 8.
8 in the morning?
Yeah.
But you said you worked from like 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
How'd you get here at 8?
I went to get breakfast with my dad.
Oh, okay. What'd you get? What'd you order?
McDonald's.
See, as a storyteller, you should be telling this stuff.
Nah.
I shouldn't have to ask you for this information.
I'm fucking gone, dude.
What's wrong, Zach?
Other
than the fact you had to sleep in your car this morning.
I'm fucking tired as shit. What?
So, I know you texted me and called me at like 8:30.
Yep.
And I did not respond because my sleep schedule is so bad right now. I went to bed. I tried to go to bed at like 3:40 in the morning. I did not actually fall asleep until maybe 5 in the morning, which means when you called me at 8:30, hoping that I would answer and let you into the apartment, unlock the door for you.
Honestly, I was more so hoping that your phone ringing would prime Brian to wake up when I called him. Like, it'd be like, oh, I hear a sound, I'm sort of coming out of sleep, and then his phone would ring and he'd be like, hello.
Fair. And I mean, I guess that's true because my phone is close to Brian's room, and therefore...
And the walls are made out of paper.
That's true as well. So maybe my phone... maybe that would have woken Brian up. But the point I was just trying to make is that's basically like me trying to get 3.5 hours of sleep and wake up unnaturally. Because I was only asleep for 3.5 hours. At that point, I was deep into dreamland. I had a weird dream last night too, man. I had a weird dream that I was back on campus living in the dorms again. A lot of people don't know this on my campus because they revamped the dorms a couple of years ago. So now the dorms are nice, neat. They don't have communal bathrooms. You get your own private bathroom. You don't really have to share your room with a ton of people. At max, you're sharing your room with one person. And it's a nice modern dorm. But the old dorms at my university used to be the worst. Communal bathrooms, very, very compact rooms with a lot of roommates, and they were also 10 to 11 floors tall. So I had a dream that I was back living in the dorms in one of those dorm buildings, and I was just exploring them because I was curious. I'm like, what happens 10 feet up? So the first, like, I think they had me living on floor 4 or 5, and I was like, all right, cool. So I move into the dorm, and then this girl who's on my floor with me was really nice. We were talking, chatting up, became good friends. We both decided we wanted to explore the other floors. So we go up, and like floors 6 and 7 are normal dorm floors, and then floors like 8 get really weird, where it's just like a bunch of old people. But we just assumed like it was a floor for like the really old people who get college degrees late in life, which happens a lot apparently. I've had some really old people in my college classes, and respect.
Just like an 80-year-old man sitting in your like introduction to literature class.
I've never had like an 80-year-old, but I had
just sitting there. I'm going to be an author one day.
Oh God, I had this like 6-year-old lady in my...
I know you said 60, but I heard 6.
I had a 6-year-old lady in my intercultural communications class, which is just a very, like, woke class. I had to take it for a perspectives credit. It wasn't really my cup of tea, but I needed my perspectives requirement filled. And I walked in the first day, saw this, like, 6-year-old lady there, and I'm like, oh, we gonna have some fights go down in this class. How can I tell? Because you have a 6-year-old lady in the same,
in the same room as a bunch of woke college students.
As a bunch of hipster college kids. But to my dismay, that 6-year-old lady honestly ended up was more woke than half of the hipster kids in that class.
That's wild.
So, sadly, there weren't any fights.
There were fights. They just were the other way, where the hipster kids couldn't see why she was so woke.
No. I mean, it was as entertaining, I guess, to watch a 6-year-old lady out-woke teenagers. But it would have been more fun if there were arguments between, like, a really, what's the word? Throwback, like...
A boomer.
Traditional. Yeah, like, if there were fights between, like, a traditionalist boomer in my class and, like, the red-haired, 19-year-old girl who believes that all people are one race and one love, that would have been hilarious to watch, and sadly it didn't happen. Sadly, it did not happen. Also, we've gone way too far into this episode without recognizing the obvious, which is your boy's going full cringe mode today. Almost full. Last episode, we talked a lot about high school and how cringy it was. And then you made the joke at the end of the episode that we should just do an entire episode talking about high school.
I didn't realize that's what we were doing.
That's not what we're doing. We're not doing an episode talking about high school. That's a dumb idea. It would get boring at about 30 minutes.
For you.
Okay, yeah, keep living in the past, Zach. I've moved on. But I wanted to dress up like high school today for the podcast. So we're wearing the old, emo band shirt, my Charizard hat, which I used to wear this hat in every stream, which honestly was on brand because back then my online alias was still Ender Charizard. So if anything, I was, marketing myself beautifully. But I figured I'd go throwback mode, at least in clothing, for today's episode. The only thing I could have done more, and I considered it, was to wear all 20 of my wristbands, 10 on each arm. Why are you pointing at your sweatshirt? Yikes, oh. Funny. But the only thing I could have done more to look like my high school self, well, was also shave the scraggly facial hair, because I wasn't able to grow facial hair back then, but also wear my 20 wristbands, like I said. And I'll say this now. If we get to 50 subscribers, which I know isn't a lot, but you got to start somewhere. If we get to 50 subs, I will wear this hat, one of my old throwback cringy band shirts. I'll shave my beard so I look baby-faced. I call this a beard. It's just me being lazy and not shaving ever. And I will wear all the wristbands. I will basically cosplay my former high school self if we get to 50 subs. So, let's bang it out, baby. Tell your grandmother to sub. Don't tell her to watch. No. She doesn't want to watch. She shouldn't watch.
Never should she ever watch.
But tell your grandmother to sub. Tell your cousins to sub. Tell anyone you know. I mean, listen, back when I was, like, really, really desperate for subscribers and such, and, like, Twitch followers back in the day, I would make my family members, like my older family members, like older aunts, uncles, and grandparents, I would make them Twitch accounts so they could follow me. And, like, not tell them. I would do it under their nose. So they'd ask me to help them with something on their phone, as old people do. So I'd help them with something on their phone. I remember one time, one of my grandparents had accidentally lowered the font size on his iPhone to the smallest font size.
Oh, no.
Which is what I use, by the way. I love the smallest font size on my phone. It's very neat and compressed. But he wanted it on the biggest font size because he couldn't read it.
Yeah.
So he handed me his phone to fix it. Half an hour later, He was reading big font, and he had a Twitch account, followed me. I deleted the app. He doesn't need to know.
He never needs to know.
That's how desperate I was back when I had like 20 Twitch followers.
It sends out emails for like when someone goes live.
Not if you turn off emails.
Oh, well.
Turn off notifications, turn off emails. I was smart about it, right?
I suppose.
You
could.
I was desperate, okay? That was back when I had like 20 followers on Twitch, and I was trying to grow.
All of them were me.
And 3 of them were your 3 accounts, and 1 of them was my alt account. So realistically, I only had like 15 real followers. But yeah, I would have my grandparents and like my older family members follow me, either under their nose, or I would just I would sell it as something so nonchalant. Like, I'd be like, oh, if you have a Gmail account, you get to follow me for free. Like, I would almost try to, like, guilt them into following me. I'm like, you can follow me, and I'm trying to grow, and it's free. And my family members would eventually cave. It was one of 2 things. I would either have them follow me without them knowing, or I'd guilt them into following me back when I was, a smaller Twitch creator. Now, I don't tell my family at all about my Twitch, really.
Yeah.
Mostly because back then, I was a nice Christian boy, and now I curse too much to try to sell my Twitch page to my family and, use my family as a way to grow my Twitch page. But I don't really need them anymore. As bad as I don't need my family anymore.
I was thinking about telling my family about the podcast, and then I remembered tuck that thing in, and I was like, oh no, they don't need
you still have
to
to
ever
upload Dick's Gotta Have It.
Oh, I still gotta upload Dick's Gotta Have It
onto your personal channel. We've been uploading podcast clips, like highlights, to our personal channels, and a lot of Zach's are just the super sexual stories he's told, and a lot of mine are about like weird things that have happened to me, the druggies I've seen out in public. Dude, I saw another one. We're jumping across a ton of topics today. I don't care. This podcast is not gonna have any real consistency or fluidity. It's just going to be a bunch of topics going all over the place. I saw another... I don't know what drugs this kid was on. He was about our age. I was walking Bowser the other night, and our schedule for walking Bowser is about every 3-4 hours. And I usually take nights because my sleep schedule is so bad, and I'm up so late. So, like, last night, the last time I walked Bowser was 3:30 in the morning, 3:45. Which is always kind of a weird vibe, just walking around the block at 3:30 in the morning, no one else is awake, it's dead quiet, it's a little creepy, but I like doing it for him because our other roommates will walk him in the mornings and the afternoons, and you'll walk him at like the afternoons and nights, and then I'll walk him at like night and like dead of night, like late. So he gets walked a ton in the day. He's a happy boy, he's exercised, I'm proud of him. But the other night, I was walking him at 3 in the morning, and there was this kid walking down our street towards us, towards me and Bowser. And he looked like, honestly, like a cartoon troll. Like he was walking with his arms at 90-degree angles, facing downwards, and his legs bent in the weirdest way. He was like hunched over, like he looked like a troll. And I could tell by the extremely fast pace he was walking and the average pace Bowser and I was walking, we were going to meet up right at about the same point where our house is. So right when I was about to get Bowser inside, meaning I wasn't going to have to like pass this guy, but there was no way I was going to avoid him. Like I was going to be getting Bowser in the door right as this guy passes us. So I'm trying to speed it up. I really don't want to have to come into contact or even close vicinity of this drugged out 20-year-old who looks and is walking like a troll. Like he was also sweating profusely, and like it's summertime now, but at night it's like 60. It's really cool at night. I've been wearing like hoodies when I walk Bowser at 3 a.m. because it's getting cool. And this guy was in a t-shirt sweating. Like that's how many hard drugs he was on. And I'm picking up the pace. Bowser and I get to the door pretty quickly. This guy's about 5 feet away. And I tell Bowser, come inside. Because, I just want to get in, get out, and leave. Like, I want to close the door behind me and be safe from this drugged out kid. So I tell Bowser, come inside. This druggie looks at me, turns, and starts heading towards our door like I was talking to him. It was fucking terrifying. I closed the door quickly behind me, locked it, and oh god, the most terrifying shit in my life. Like, I've never come that close to a potentially terrible situation. Other than the time I almost got hit by a train. Segway, baby. That's not even on the topics list. There was one time I was hunting, and this is a short story, honestly. One time I was hunting, me and my buddy, we were walking through the forest, and there's these train tracks. It's the same hunting grounds I talked about on a previous podcast that's right next to a power plant. So there's these train tracks that basically are right next to a river. And the train goes along the bend of the river. And on one side of the river's the nuclear power plant that probably is just feeding waste into the river. The deer drinks the waste, and I'm going to die at the age of 32 because I eat those deer.
Good.
On the other side of the river is the hunting grounds. So the nuclear power plant is at least not on the same property, per se. So me and my buddy are walking through the woods, heading towards this river, because a lot of deer like to drink there. And we see a hunter on the train tracks with his gun up, and he's looking through the sight at something. But we don't see a deer in the direction he's looking. So we stop not to make noise and potentially scare his kill off. We're waiting for 5 minutes. He hasn't shot, hasn't moved. Eventually he puts his gun down. So we walk up to him, we're talking with this guy. He's like, oh, I thought I saw a deer out there, but it was really far off. It wasn't coming out of the brush. It ended up going deeper into the forest. I couldn't get a clean shot. So we're just talking with this guy, shooting the shit with this random hunter. And I should clarify that the previous night, it had stormed a fuck ton. It stormed like crazy, which can be good for hunting because the next day, a lot of the deer aren't going to be walking around ton in the storm. And the day after the storm, you have a better chance of potentially finding one. That's why I've heard, at least. I don't go hunting much anymore. So the next day, the river next to us is rushing, bro. It's a rapid. There was insane amounts of water in this river. It was coming up onto the tracks a little. It was overflowing like crazy. Thanks to the storm, if you didn't get that. That's what I was trying to say.
Yep.
I didn't want to put that exposition in there, but I feel like you needed it from the look on your face.
Did you want me to exclaim oh, the river was rushing because of the storm? To do the exposition that way?
But we're on the train tracks. The river next to us is really, really loud, very overflowed, and just honestly a nuisance to my existence. My feet were getting wet because, like I said, the water's on the tracks. I didn't like it. Didn't want it. But the reason that detail is important is because we're talking, not really paying attention to anything, and we hear a giant-ass train horn blaring. We look behind us, and there's a train maybe 30 yards off. Not insanely close, but way too close for comfort. And none of us had heard it prior because of how loud the river next to us was. So we jump off the tracks. I go one way, my buddy goes the other. So does the random hunter dude. So
the random hunter just jumps over the train because one guy went this way, the other guy went that way. Where do I go?
But I go one way, and I'd say we had about 5 to 8 seconds between getting off the tracks to the train getting there. So it was close, but not too close. And this train starts rushing past us. I jumped the way of the river, so I'm now standing kind of in this overflowed river with a train stopping me from getting to dry land. And after it passed, we all kind of joked about how almost death-inducing that situation was. It was a good time. But that I think is one of the scariest moments in my life, alongside telling Bowser to come inside and unintentionally inviting a drugged out 20-year-old into the apartment with me.
Every time you say his name, I think he's gonna like wake up and be like, "Oh, you want to play now?"
No, our dog is fast asleep. He could care less. Which I prefer, considering...
Honestly, one of the scariest like experiences I've ever had is like there's a torrential downpour 2 days after I got my license.
Oh, nice.
And Cheyenne was over at my house during it. Mm-hmm. So like I was like, okay, I'm gonna take you home because it's time for you to go home. My parents don't want you spending the night.
Good Christian parents. I support your parents.
So I was taking her home, and it was like a torrential downpour. Like we were hydroplaning every other second.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fucking terrifying. But that also leads into one of my irrational fears that I remembered after the fact, because there was another torrential downpour the other day, like a week or two ago.
Yeah, it was bad.
I was driving home in that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm very uncomfortable driving on a road that has like leaves on it that is wet.
Wet leaves.
Wet leaves on the road. Like the road is wet and
you don't like wet leaves.
And there are leaves on the road and the leaves are roady and the road is leafy.
Okay.
I don't like that, and the road is also leafy as here.
Dude, I've been meaning to make a video about Leafy's is here. Straight up, that dude is making one of the greatest comebacks that we've ever seen on YouTube. He went from the worst, arguably one of the worst YouTubers, like at least one of the most toxic and lacking in self-awareness YouTubers, to now the greatest shitlord, like the greatest meme YouTuber of all time. I love him.
I haven't seen any of his stuff.
His new stuff's amazing.
No, but like so, and the reason I don't like that, like I wouldn't say I'm terrified of it, but I'm very uncomfortable driving on that, is because when I was a really little kid, I used to watch Thomas the Tank Engine, and there was this one episode where it's like, hey man, be careful, because there's fucking leaves on the track. And then the one train was like, no, I'm not going to be careful because I'm the best. And then he fucking crashed.
Okay.
And that's why it's so irrational to not, like, because that's just a plot hook for a show. Well, a children's show, nonetheless.
Maybe it's irrational to not want to drive over leaves because of Thomas the Tank Engine. But I feel like it's completely irrational that you're worried to drive over leaves when wet, because that could actually cause a crash in the real world. Maybe,
but also not. Thomas the Tank Engine is pretty inaccurate with its
physics and laws.
Yes.
No, I feel like most people have a hydroplaning story though. Like my girlfriend definitely does. As you know, she crashed her first car that way. You have a hydroplaning story. My mom. I surprisingly have never. Now I've been lucky and I've not had to drive in a ton of insane thunderstorms. The worst storm I've ever seen, regardless of whether or not I was driving, happened, of course, when I'm driving. And it was one of those moments, it felt like a video game for me. And thankfully, I used a lot of back roads, so I didn't have to deal with a ton of traffic. But the rain was so bad that I had my wipers on full speed, had them on maximum power, and I would get to see where the road was for like a tenth of the time, and then the other 9/10, the other 90% could not see a thing. So I felt like I was playing a video game, like where, and I mean, there's a lot of like Donkey Kong levels that are like this, where the lights go out and you can't see anything, and then like lightning flashes and you can see the course and like where you're going, you can see where you need to platform. Those Donkey Kong levels, dude, Donkey Kong is a beautiful game. It's underrated in my opinion, but I digress. We're going back to the main topic, which is I could not see the road at all, and I kind of in my head turned into a video game, and surprisingly never hydroplaned, never came into close contact with any other cars. I made it safely home, but it was not a fun time. Like I was making a video game out of it in my head to be less scared.
Yeah.
But not a fun time. regardless of, you know, how much I was distracting myself from potential
Death?
Not death, but at least crashing the car.
Death.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Hydroplaning's a hell of a drug. It's one of those things where, like...
Well, on the way back on that torrential, like, downpour the other weekday, whatever the fuck
Yeah, when it was raining recently.
I saw, like, there was someone who ran off the road, and they were facing the same direction that, like, I was traveling, their vehicle was, but they were on the other side of the road.
Of course.
So either they fucked up that hard and, like, ended up going off the opposite side of the road from hydroplaning, or they just got spun in a 180 from hydroplaning. But both are pretty bad.
Yeah. Yikes. That's a hard yikes. That's another thing. And again, I don't drive a lot because I don't own a car. I share a car with my sister, but she lives at home and I live in an apartment, so therefore I never see that car.
Yeah.
That car is at home with my parents who paid for it. But so maybe I don't drive a lot, but I've never witnessed anything bad happen, really. Like, my sister has witnessed a crash. Like, my girlfriend has witnessed a crash. I've never witnessed anything bad happen. Like, when I drive, it's so peaceful. And it's kind of fucking boring.
I've never witnessed a crash, but I've almost been in several. Because people are fucking stupid.
I know.
Dude, I was going fucking 50 down a road where the speed limit was 50.
Uh-huh.
And I was like 20 feet. Or, that's a gross exaggeration. It was more like 200 feet.
Mm-hmm.
From, like, where the road intersects to turn.
Yeah.
And this guy just fucking dips across the road in this nice-ass classic car, and I had to, like, slam on the brakes, and I was like, okay, that idiot is going to destroy that car that's worth more than he is as a human being.
No, yeah. I mean, listen, I agree that you've had your fair share of run-ins, but I would like to throw in my counterpoint that sometimes you drive a little aggressive.
I always drive very aggressive.
Like,
because I learned from my grandfather how to drive. Like, he's basically the one that taught me how to drive.
mm-hmm.
And if not him, like my mother, who drives equally as aggressive.
Yeah.
So I will 100% fully admit that I drive fucking scary.
It is, and we have yet to record it, but this week, the Patreon episode, which you can get for $2 a month on patreon.com/BaseballBoysPodcast, sellout. This week, the Patreon episode is a car podcast, because I bought a GoPro, and we're setting that GoPro up on the console of your car, the dash if you want, and
a dash cam if you will, but facing the way that you don't get to give anyone information if you get in an accident.
Yeah, it's a car podcast, but the camera will be on us, not the road, and we haven't recorded it yet, and part of me is a little worried to record it, because I've driven with you many times, and we've never gotten in an accident, but I'm starting to become of the mindset that it's just going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Because we've come close too many times. You've taken turns so tight, I thought, like, you had a dead cat somewhere in the car. That's how loud the tires were screeching. Like, being a passenger for you...
I don't remember that, but okay.
It was the turn literally, like, right outside our apartment complex.
Oh, okay.
Right outside our apartment complex.
Okay.
You turned so tight.
Okay.
And it was so loud. But I get a little worried. I believe that if we're lucky and you drive safe, we'll never get in a car accident together. But I also believe that
I will never drive safe.
Sometime in your life, you're probably going to get a car accident. Sometime.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sometime you're probably going to get in an accident.
It's going to be a doozy, too.
And it's just a matter of whether or not I'm with you when you get in that accident. And that's what worries me, Zach.
Well, stop that.
Well, maybe just drive safer.
No.
Oh, God. But yeah, we're doing a car podcast. Hopefully it goes well.
Hopefully he lets me put the top down.
Why would we put the top down? That would be... You like to use your convertible more than it's necessary.
Listen,
It'll be cold and you want to have the top down.
If it was like 60 degrees in the winter, if it somehow made it to that, I would put the top down because I just enjoyed it so much.
Zach, we have to record a podcast, which requires us to have good audio, and with the top down,
We can keep the windows up
that's never
like a bunch
gonna
of
happen.
fucking losers.
Oh my god.
That's one thing I don't understand. People with convertibles that keep the windows up but put the top down. Like, I like to feel the wind in my hair, but only in the top of my hair. The sides don't get any wind.
I would never own a convertible just out of the irrational fear that if I flipped, I would die. Which is irrational because I don't think I'd ever flip a car, but rational because a lot of convertibles are built so poorly that if you do flip, they will kind of cave a little.
It's not that they're built poorly, it's just the best material to, like, put away and compress is canvas. So, like...
For your car. Some convertibles are built like tanks, where they can flip and not cave.
Those are the convertibles where, like, you take a panel off the roof and it's just having
No.
No?
I'm saying, like, expensive cars.
Oh,
expensive
okay.
convertibles are safe. If your car flipped...
Oh, no, we're all dead.
Not dead, but...
Quite dead.
At the very least, fucked.
Would you like to get fucked with me?
No, I don't.
Fuck.
But to get back to the greater point of this episode's just a lot of, like, old stories, some cringy stuff, some high school stuff. That's why I dressed purposefully cringy. And I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable just wearing this hat. But I'm willing to do it for the meme. And like I said, once we hit 50 subs, tell your friends, get them to sub. They don't even gotta watch. I would like them to watch. Please watch. But just get them to sub. We hit 50 subs. I will do an episode with all of my old wristbands, and I'll look even more cringy. Just for the subs, for the views. I'm a sellout. I'm kidding. I do it for you. I do it for you guys, because I know that's what you want to see.
Because he knows you want him to sell out.
I think I'm self-aware enough that people want to see me be as cringy as possible on YouTube and Twitch, just as much as they want me to, like, succeed. By that I mean, like, clips of me failing or being cringy on Twitch do just as popular, if not more popular, than I can't even fucking speak, apparently. Those clips do just as popular, if not more popular, than the clips where I hit a nutty shot in CSGO or, clutch a 1v3 in Valorant. So I know what my viewers want, and they want me to fail. And that's okay. I will fail as long as it helps me succeed online and helps grow my hope to one day, be a successful streamer and content creator. I'll do it, baby. Why are you looking at me?
That sigh is how I feel.
I know, our dog just sighed really loud.
He also just had a crazy dream, it looks like.
Yeah, he was shaking a lot. He's a crazy man.
You should,
But, yeah. Oh, wow, we're 42 minutes in. These podcasts have been flying by. Did you say thank God? You really don't want to be here today.
I have to go to work today, dude.
Oh, yeah, you still have to go to work after this. Listen, I know you don't want to be here, so we'll end this podcast with some old, like, high school topics, since that's what you really want to talk about, apparently.
Nah, it's really not.
I don't know. Last episode, you had way too much fun talking about high school.
I had way too much fun talking about Boy Scouts.
And high school. You don't argue with me. I edited the fucking podcast.
And I was in the podcast.
Yeah. And what kind of argument is that? We both have trash memories. You sat down here for an hour, talked, and probably don't remember anything you said. I had to edit it, upload it, make a thumbnail for it. I know exactly what happened. All I'm saying is, I find it funny that you reminisce about high school as positively as you do.
Considering how fucking terrible it was.
Yeah, for you. Like, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you at least are able to move on, grow, and be a better person.
I don't think that's what it means. Be a better person, he says. What do I look like to you?
I don't know, man. So, I saw a TikTok. I don't use TikTok anymore. It took up way too much space on my phone. But I do like the self-aware meme TikToks.
Yeah.
Like, the majority of TikTok is cringy.
Yes.
But there are people on TikTok who are making content very similar to, like, what Vine was and what Vine could be today if it still existed. And those are the TikToks I like. So I saw a TikTok yesterday, which was this girl who found Bosco sticks, a very popular high school lunch item. She found them online, wanted to buy them, but she could only buy them in bulk. So she ended up buying a giant-ass box of them. She then wanted to cook them for her TikTok, but they have to thaw out before cooking. She didn't do that. She just cooked them from frozen in her oven to, to hot. She cooked them from frozen to very warm, and apparently they weren't good, but they were good enough to reminisce and be nostalgic about. And it honestly made me want to buy a box of Bosco sticks in bulk the next time I have a paycheck again, like when I'm working again after quarantine. Like, I shouldn't, because I'm running out of money and running out of income during quarantine. I should be very frugal with my finances. But I really, really want to buy a giant box of Bosco sticks just so I can remember high school lunch and eat something that was actually good high school lunch, because most of our high school lunches were trash.
Oh yeah.
Which is why you gave
French bread pizza was my favorite.
Which is why you gave most of your lunches to me.
Yeah.
So I did not get lunch in high school, nor did I get free lunches. Like, my parents were in that lovely gray area where they were too poor to give me lunch money, but not poor enough to get free lunches from the state. You, however, got free lunches.
I got free lunches for one of the years. I should have been getting free lunches the whole way through, but instead I got it for 1 year.
You got very loud about that. That was a passionate statement. The point I was making is you got free lunches in 12th grade. The only year we were really, like, close friends. So you would get lunch every day, regardless of whether or not you liked it. Because if you didn't like it, you give it to me, which I appreciate a lot.
Yeah.
And Bosco sticks were one of the few things you didn't really like too much that you would give to me that I liked.
They were just so salty.
Hey, man. I don't like salt, but I like Bosco sticks. Because, like, I was appreciative of you giving me your lunch when you didn't like it. But because you didn't like it, it probably was something I didn't like either. Like, they had the most disgusting rib sandwiches.
Oh, I hated that.
At our school that were definitely not made out of any meat that came off a rib. It was the most fake-tasting meat ever.
It's like if you took ground beef and then kind of shaped it to look like it once was ribs.
It was like if you took ground beef, you mixed it 50-50 with potted plant dirt, grew an entire flower in it, ripped the flower out, and then shaped it into the form of a rib, still being half dirt, half ground beef. Like, you didn't sift the dirt out. There's still a couple, like, stems in the ground from the flower that you're
these
finding.
actually look appealing.
Well,
the fucking normal rib sandwiches.
You just typed rib sandwich into Google Image.
I wanted to see what it was supposed to look like.
Did you really expect to find a picture of our high school lunch by
Yes.
typing rib sandwich into Google Image?
Should I have also typed in the name of our school?
I don't know. All I know is that was not successful. The point I'm trying to make, please don't distract me, is I appreciate you giving me your lunches, but they were the most disgusting things, because if you weren't going to eat them, I probably shouldn't be eating them either. But I had to, because my packed lunch consisted of a sandwich and saltines every day. If I was lucky, there would be a pudding cup in there sometimes. But my average lunch was like saltines, a sandwich, a drink, maybe like pretzels. It depended on the week. Never did I have anything really exciting. I didn't have any candy in my lunches. I didn't have any Lunchables. Didn't have any, Gushers. Gushers were the shit in high school.
Meanwhile, I just stole a whole bag of chips, like a family-sized bag of hers, from my parents' cabinet, and that was my lunch that I brought.
When you weren't getting free lunches, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I appreciate those old lunches, but looking back, I think that also would contribute to the fact that I'm probably going to die in my 30s. Like, eating those disgusting high school lunches, eating deer meat from a hunting ground right next to a nuclear plant.
Yep.
And also never getting any exercise. Like, there's a lot of factors that will contribute to my premature death.
Yep.
And I've just accepted that. But, I don't know, man. High school was just cringy. I was so cringy back then. I look back at some of my old tweets. We talked about this a little bit on a previous podcast, but I never got deep into it. I went back into my old tweets and deleted a lot of stuff that, you know, was kind of funny back then, but would get me canceled now. Like, I never used any words that were, like, racist or offensive, but I definitely tried to toe the line back in high school of, like, what was acceptable in humor, like, super dark humor, like, fucked up humor. And I've deleted a lot of those tweets because they could get me canceled now. So I went back and deleted a ton. Like, I nuked my Twitter. But while I was back there, back in, like, 2016...
Good thing I got screen caps of everything.
You couldn't cancel me if you tried. You in what army, Zach?
Well, I gotta wait till you get big, then I can cancel you with relative ease.
But it was so cringy to me that in 2016, almost every tweet I put out had XD in it.
RAR XD.
Not RAR, but, like, it had XD.
What's this?
Or, like, too many emojis. Like, I was so cringy back then. So while I was back there deleting, you know, dark humor jokes that maybe were too offensive, I was also just deleting tweets that I thought were really cringy. I kept some of them up because, you know, I'm not gonna just eradicate my entire past. I feel like that's...
Maybe eradicate it a little bit.
I feel like that's unhealthy almost. Like, I don't know. I think it's wrong to just delete everything you've ever done because you don't like it anymore. I'd rather keep my cringy tweets up as, like, a reminder of myself, a reminder to myself to not ever be that way again, as well as just a memory to my high school self. Like, yeah, they're cringy. Yeah, they're bad tweets. Like, they're not funny. They did not need to have XD in them. But they're good memories of high school and, like, older times. And I don't want to just completely erase all of that. But it's bad. It's bad. It's so bad. I mean, my old YouTube videos are bad. Oh, God. But you need those things to help grow and learn and improve. Like, my content would have never improved if I did not recognize the areas in which it was bad or the areas in which it was cringy. So that's why I've never deleted some of my old cringy YouTube videos, because I like having them there to show growth. I don't know. But high school was a hell of a time. Bosco sticks were the best, though. And while I don't have the financial stability to buy them now, I'm genuinely considering it. What was, like, you said your favorite was the pizza?
Yeah, the French bread pizza.
It was pretty good. I loved the chicken nuggets our high school had. They were the most fake tasting chicken nuggets ever.
It was like eating sand, but it was the best sand you'd ever eat.
It was amazing. It was an unknown substance. I don't know how it was approved by the USDA, but somehow they were able to sell it to kids.
Yeah, they took away soda, but that was okay.
I know. They took away our soda vending machines, but somehow they were able to sell the most fake tasting chicken nuggets possible. However, they tasted beautifully. Like, the same way McDonald's tastes fake but good. And I love the fake but good taste of McDonald's. These chicken nuggets our high school sold were the same taste of fake, but turned up to, like, 100. Turned up to max. Maximum fake. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, plastic isn't even a good description of it. because that sounds bad. But, like, it was kind of plasticky. Yeah. But it tasted amazing. Did you ever join any clubs in high school? Or, like, do any extracurriculars? Because I didn't.
I tried to, and just, like, I give up on it. Like, I tried to do, I tried to be in the play.
Oh, really?
And just, like, I like, sang for the audition or whatever, and they had a part that I straight up think that, the teacher in charge of it had a part that he wanted to give me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, like, was like, yeah, I just came to audition to be on stage crew.
Oh.
And then I was on stage crew for that 1 year and then decided that I didn't care enough.
Fair.
I stayed after school a lot to help teachers, though. Mostly art teachers.
Yeah. I remember my mom really wanted me to be in the play at school. But back then, I can't believe I've never said this before on the podcast. Growing up in high school, my parents would turn our internet off at 8 p.m. So I would get home from school at like 3.
Yeah.
And then have 5 hours of internet, and then the internet's off at 8. My mom desperately wanted me to be in the play my senior year, and I didn't really want to. But I came to her, I'm like, I'll be in the play if I'm allowed to have internet 24/7. She's like, no, we can't do that. I'm like, okay, so you want me to do play practice after school, get home at like 5 or 6, and then have 2 hours of internet, which I need to use to get homework done. There were some days I couldn't play video games because the internet would turn off at 8. Yeah. There were some days I couldn't finish my homework before 8. And therefore, I couldn't finish my homework because the internet's off.
Yeah.
So, like, there were days I was screwed. But there were some days I would get home from school, have 5 hours of internet, like I just said, and not be able to finish all my homework in that time, and just be screwed. Which I thought was stupid. Completely dumb. Like, I can understand why my parents are strict in some ways, but to this day, that I do not agree with. And my dad asked me recently, he's like, he asked me, like, what ways I didn't like my childhood. Not because, like, he felt bad or, like, was regretting the way he parented me. He was just like, it was just us shooting the shit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, us just, like, joking around. And I brought that up because I still believe that turning the internet off at 8, I would even come to them and be like, I didn't finish my homework in time. And, like, I didn't play any video games, didn't do anything else, didn't watch any YouTube. I used all 5 hours of the internet I had today to do homework, and I didn't finish it in time. And they still wouldn't turn it on for me. So that to me was so stupid. To get back to my point, my mom wanted me to join the play. I would have to stay at school even longer, get home even later, and have even less time to use the internet. And I guarantee you, if I joined that play, I would never have time to play video games. Because I was already spending like a couple hours a night doing homework online and like using my laptop for homework. So I would have been going to play practice, coming home, maybe finishing my homework before the internet turned off at 8. But probably not. I probably would have had most nights with my homework not done. And I would have just been screwed. And I explained that to her. I'm like, how do you expect me to go to do this play, come home, and finish my homework in like an hour or 2 of internet, and then after 8, I'm screwed. Hopefully I got all my stuff done. Who knows? Best of luck, kid. And she still wouldn't budge. So I didn't join the play, and my internet still turned off at 8. And I'm a little bit of a salty child now, growing up and moving out, because the entire time I lived at that house, the internet turned off at 8. About a year after I moved out of that house, they stopped doing that. Which means, yeah, all 3 of my little sisters had to deal with that restriction at some time.
Yeah.
But now, none of them have to deal with it. They have internet 24/7. I was the only one of their 4 kids, as the oldest, who had to deal with internet restrictions the entire time I lived there. And it makes me a little salty that, if I was younger, if I was one of the younger children, I'd still be living at home free, not having to pay rent, and not having to pay Comcast way too much money to have internet. Yeah. I would be living at home free with internet 24/7. But, maybe I'm just a salty Sam. Anyways, high school was real cringy.
I didn't really do any extracurricular after-school activities, but one of the extracurricular activities that took place during the school was I did business math for my senior year.
Oh yeah,
because I hate math, and that was easy.
And
it was awesome. I loved the teacher, loved the class.
Okay.
But one of the projects we did in class that I think like contributed heavily to our final grade was we did like a fundraiser for our prom. And I was lucky enough to get into the bake sale group.
Why is that lucky?
It's just a miracle that our group was the one that came up with the bake sale first.
Oh, okay.
Because it was like whoever thinks of it first gets it. And
bake sale's a good idea.
Yeah, and like so, I say that because I was known, I guess, in high school for baking really good cookies.
That is true. Very true. They were good ass cookies. I mean, I had some of your cookies recently. Still good. Still a fan.
But then another group, and this was like the group of like all the rednecks and motorheads and shit.
Okay.
They had their project idea was that they were gonna do like a cruise night, which is like a car show, and then like I guess they drive around in their cars together or whatever.
How is that gonna raise money for prom?
They said they were gonna charge for it, and they were gonna like have it in the parking lot for this like at the Tractor Supply.
Okay.
And they did, like, they advertised it, people showed up. They did not have a way to collect money at the gate. They had paid for a prize for not a big prize, like a little prize.
Okay.
For the car show. They didn't get permission from the venue to use the area.
Okay.
And they were kicked out by the cops halfway through.
Of course.
So I don't know how that affected their final grade, but it couldn't have been good. Cause like it kind of negated like us doing a bake sale and like everyone else doing a project because their project cost money.
Yeah.
And they didn't make any.
Oh, so like there wasn't enough money in the budget for anyone else's projects, is what you're saying?
No, everyone like got to do their project because like for instance, my project, like the project for the bake sale was like free.
Yeah, okay.
And only brought in money.
So what do you mean it cost money? Did it cost the teacher money?
No, like I think they used their own money.
Oh, idiots.
Yeah. But which is fine, like they had a job, but they basically like spent money on this thing that didn't return shit.
Didn't make them any money in return.
Yeah, and then they had to like, because of that, everyone got a higher prom ticket price. Because the whole point was trying to reduce the price of the prom tickets.
Well, did they ever get reduced? They were the same price both years. And it was expensive. It was $60 both years.
Yeah, so I think they
would it have been like, more if you didn't do your like bake sale?
I think it would have been more if like no one did a project.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
They were already expensive. Whatever. We're going to end this podcast here, I guess, because it's been going on for a while. Also, the AC just kicked in hardcore. It's been going light this entire podcast, so you might have heard a little bit of, like, white noise in the background, but the AC just blew up, apparently. So we're going to end the podcast with that. It's so loud. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed some old throwback stories again. I just like telling stories from the past. And plus, there's not a lot of new stories we can tell right now, given we're quarantined. And I hope you enjoyed me dressing up purposely cringy. If you want it to be even cringier, sub to the channel. At 50 subs, I will wear my wristbands on the podcast. Anything else to say, Zach?
No.
Well, that's it then. Bye.